Communication 1073.
Communication 1073 requests a discussion relating to the county's development of a request for proposal to establish a lava viewing site and or program in the area affected by the 2018 lava event. From Councilmember Eileen O'Hara, dated September 7, 2018.
Ms. O'Hara, motion to file Communication 1073.
Yes, so move.
We have a second. It's been moved by Ms. O'Hara, seconded by Ms. Poindexter. Go right ahead, Ms. O'Hara.
Thank you. Quite a few members of the public have contacted our office about concerns about lava viewing sites and lack of lava viewing sites and what are appropriate locations for the lava viewing site. And since the county had indicated through research and development that they were working on a RFP, I was hoping they could come forward and inform us on to the status of that and what they consider this program is going to perhaps look like. Give us kind of a snapshot of what it's like.
Good afternoon. My name is Diane Lay. I'm the director for the Department of Research and Development, and I have with me...
Hi, Barrett Otani, Executive Assistant to the Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to kind of share where the lava viewing initiative has been. 4 months ago, we had a significant eruption occur in a residential area, and actually it migrated back and forth for a while and then finally settled down at Fissure 8. A few weeks into the event, the mayor said to Research and Development, he said, we need to share the majesty of this historic geological event with our families, our community, and with our visitors. So he says, I want to make this right for our families. I want to do parking, and I want to do a shuttle, and I want it to be inexpensive. I want it to be $5 a head. So he was really looking at it as not a big economic gain for any one individual, but just to share this incredible event that was happening in Lower East Rift Zone. So it was a simple idea, and it became very complex to implement. We looked at 4 options, lava viewing areas. One was quickly overrun, like the next day, by lava. One was discarded early, and that was, the Leilani area because of it's a residential area, and we wanted to be respectful, even though the residents had been, for the most part, evacuated up close, and then those others were under voluntary evacuation. So we wanted to be respectful of that fact. And then another area had ongoing heavy commercial activity with equipment and trucks hauling cinder. So that one was kind of like, and then also the access to that was through a single lane road through other communities that were not used to a lot of traffic. So we singled in on the what's we've called the Y, and that's the intersection at Pohoiki Road and 132. And we just proceeded to implement a strategy that we thought would work. Off-site parking close to Pahoa that would stimulate business in Pahoa, and we would be able to shuttle folks and be able to control that shuttle so that only tour operators, they'd be responsible for a head count going in and head count going out, and also for keeping their people, off of the active lava flow area or wandering into the forested areas in that area or other private property. So that was kind of the initial run around that we were doing and working on that. And then we had a subsequent meeting with Hawaii Volcanoes Observatory. And they sat us down and they said, have you really looked at the hazards that are there? You're looking at an area that is close to Fissure 8 with a high volume of lava coming out, high volume, high speed, and it was coming down and making a curve right at the Y and turning. And they said, and as you stand there, you're looking at the lava being above you, elevated above you. And they said, so when there's spillage, or if the dike of the built-up lava had failed, you're looking at, serious injuries possibly, or having to evacuate people quickly. So, and then they said, well, and then there's also gases and lays. And when we go out to do our work, we're wearing masks, and we're wearing the full gear, not just the dust mask. So we talked to the mayor about that, and we kind of, backed up a little bit. So it's been a frustration for everybody. Businesses saw it as a lost opportunity. Family members and community members saw it as a lost opportunity to be able to safely view. We also, I know even practitioners, were concerned that people were not having the opportunity to get up close to the lava. We know that there was a lot of illegal activity going on as well. So we continue to machinate on opportunities. We looked at initially it was emergency hire. We thought we could do that with just hiring a bus under the proclamation that this was an opportunity. We looked at a pilot program. We looked at long-term projects. We looked at county funding it. We looked at Hawaii Tourism Authority funding it. We looked at the county getting reimbursed for all of its costs. And then we did a net neutral option. We looked at no procurement because we were thinking about doing it under emergency operations. And then we thought about a grant under a pilot as a temporary. And now we're kind of back to the point where we're being advised that a bid process and more formalized process would be important. So the situation's also changed, at least for now. Fisher 8 has quieted down, and so the risks have obviously, diminished. So we're looking at the possibility of establishing a concession as a designated site, and that would most likely be the Y within the Pohoiki roadway area, so that we stay on public property. We're looking at establishing a opportunity to have people go up onto the lava in a short trail with signage and appropriately keeping them contained. We also need to be in compliance with ADA requirements, so we need to explore what that means. Do we need to make the trail accessible, or can we just have at the roadway area where you can still see Fisher 8 and you can still see the lava flow as an opportunity, and still provide for access for those with limited access. I think overall, and Barrett may want to add to this, but I think overall the outcome we're looking for is a managed viewing site that is respectful of adjacent properties, residents, that is also respectful of our environment, and that provides opportunities for businesses, both in Pahoa as well as external to Pahoa. And then, I think that's kind of where we're at. You want to add to that?
I'll kind of give you the vision of what it will look like now. So as we'll be contracting a contractor. I mean, what I need to do. Well, Barrett Otani, executive assistant to Mayor Kim. So as the county will be contracting to an entity that will be managing this visitor site program, and in this under the managed be tour groups. They manage the transit, also connecting to a visitor cultural center that is in process now with Gilbert Aguinaldo guys down at the hub there. So what we want to create too is they don't have the capacity to handle parking on the potential amount of cars coming. So we are in conversations with Lukins, Akebono Theater area to whether we're trying to establish that as a parking area, county leased from them or owned. That's what the conversation is in right now. But we need to see how it all turns so that we can pay for this parking lot. Now let's go back to this visitor cultural center that's going to be established at the hub. What will happen is Gilbert and his property he'll be a landlord leasing out to nonprofits, because that is allowable. That's the way that we can get it operating there, where the primary purpose is not to make money, as far as for public use. So the facilities that will be implemented in his visitor center will be a cultural center, a theater, meeting space, cafeteria, those things that the public also can come in and use as a meeting facility or cook in there because of licensed kitchen or whatever. So its primary purpose is he's a landlord leasing out to to nonprofits, preferably from the community there. And so we want to look at this as a entire entity, a corridor. So if the parking area, the overflow parking, the main parking is at Lukins, there will be a shuttle that goes back and forth to the visitor center, so that there will be, people, you can envision this, people parking at Lukins or Akebono that over there while they're getting transferred to the visitor center to go on a tour. Then after they're done, they got to be brought back, right? So then, you're bringing the people back into the Pahoa town, or I call it the heart over there. And so you constantly have this flow of people going around and, visiting different places, bringing them around. So that's critical. And that transportation there will be managed by this entity that we contract. So that is just one segment of the viewing controlled area. Because on that bus or that transit or whatever it goes down there, there'll also be the cultural monitors, or the people will be able to educate on culture. Kind of want to give it the Haunana Bay experience, where we give them, the rules and, those things of what, don't kick the lava and don't take it home and all those kind of things, etiquette kind of things. And also giving them about the cultural, because this is what is going to be key, is that the lava has kind of subsided, and that's why we call it the lava viewing experience. So we got to focus a lot on the cultural and the resiliency of people. So at the hub, there'll be a lot of things about how the people are resilient, how we work together, how we this disaster, and how everybody work together and perpetuate that, so that people would want to come and see, and be part of the experience, because that's what it's all about. Again, at the hub is also the destination for people to get down to Pohike, because we cannot say you cannot go down there, because we're only gonna have a guard. This place is at the Y, so people still can go down to Pohike, still can go down to Kalapana. But the good thing is that you could leave your car at the parking at Lukins, and it's gonna be guarded or safe. Catch a shuttle to the beach, spend a day, and come back. So you have your car is safe. Your belonging is good. And I don't think there's going to be that much parking down at Pohiki or down there. So, again, it's just trying to get people moving around in this circular or this circulation pattern, or just being shuffled around, so that they're generating business for the whole economy there. And the good thing about this method of looking at this cultural center focus thing is trying to look at the bigger picture too, to cookie cut this idea and possibly move it to other destinations around the island, being that every community has a different type of cultural center should be. Example would be like maybe Waimea is Paniolo, Kona will be Kona Coffee, Honoka got its own, cowboy and Portuguese festival maybe over there, and we're looking at Nalehu, right? Maybe that somebody was trying to do a tea farm, making it like the tea place or whatever. So every place can be focused on something different as part of a whole. So not everybody doing the same thing. And that way it'll be a visitor experience for everybody, and especially everybody who's living here. So, that's a mouthful. So thank you.
Ms. O'Hara, you still have the floor.
Well, thank you. Lovely to hear these plans, because I don't know how much has been communicated to the public. The parking feature, and I'm glad you're speaking with Sal Lukin on that. And you said the options were to either lease it or purchase it. And I know the county was in the process of trying to purchase it some time ago, and that failed. But is this going to be paid parking?
We want to make it free parking. That's why Sal took over the parking lot to guarantee free parking to the community, and that's why the county would want to do that. We're just trying to find a way that will be feasible to keep this parking lot open, and so we might have to look at to the fees charged to the coming out of the contractor or out of the tour groups that are that they subcontract to. It might be a fee on that part for the visitor for the parking
Okay.
center side.
If I can add also, some of the package we've put together for a legislative request also includes funds for business improvement district for Pahoa. So
Okay.
now whether that gets funded by state or federal, we hope that there's advocates for that.
Okay. And I have some familiarity with the property that you're talking about, Mr. Aguinaldo's property. He currently has a special, or actually a use permit on it, it's residential, for a professional medical building. And has that been worked out?
Yeah, that's why. So if you look on, it's allowable. Let me find that section there. When it's used for that purpose of a public use facility, so that's why they're classifying it as all these sections of that thing will be run by nonprofits and available to the community for using. So that's allowable. So.
Okay. So that's all doable.
Doable.
But of course, we're all aware that there is no building there now.
Okay, so sorry, that's in process right now. He has a temporary permit being reviewed right now. Temporary structure permit. So he's going to put up a temporary structure with a portion for a video screen, portion to intake visitors to schedule this tour. While this is there, he's going to be constructing his main building. We're looking at the temporary site. Quickest will be end of this month. The longest we'll try is by end of November, depending how fast the permitting process goes through.
The temporary site.
Temporary site.
What do you mean the temporary site? I'm sorry.
Temporary structure.
Oh.
And because we want to put that up while the main building is being built.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so vans or buses, small buses, large buses would be going to the Y area and then parking. So we would need parking down there as well.
The parking would be at his place for now because the site plan doesn't encompass his whole big building. It's going to be smaller tents, so-called, like a fire retardant tents in the front. And the main building area would be used for overflow parking at this point.
I think maybe I miscommunicated or you didn't understand. I was talking about the actual viewing site, the Y down at Poiki.
Yeah, so that would be the main the contractor that they hire. That would be managed by them. So we would have parking down there just for those buses under them. Residents who live down there would be allowed through there for them and their families, but only them and would be the contractor be allowed through the viewing site.
So the question is, if there's to be some parking, and it sounds like there has to be some parking for vans, buses at the Y area, the county doesn't own any other land but the roadways, so is there going to, I mean, it's state land in that area.
So what we'd end up doing is working in conjunction with Public Works to come and Civil Defense to come up with a strategy for that specific area. What's the carrying capacity? How many buses can be parked there? Could they have to all be small buses or large bus? Can we accommodate some large ones? And so that would need to be worked out with the contractor to actually do a site plan. So.
And in the process of doing that, please be aware that there is already efforts and consideration for rebuilding that section of 132. And that's why I bring this up, because we were having meetings with the large landowners in Public Works on that top section that was covered, about a mile and a half of 132. And PGV is also looking at gaining access to that corner as well. So
Yeah.
that's why I was querying where would the parking be.
Right. Yeah, we definitely need to take into to awareness all of the competing potential uses for that area, and as we move forward with plans. So, yeah.
Okay.
Going
Thank
to
you.
need to be a bit of a fluid situation. So,
Well, thank you for that. I don't know if anyone else is familiar enough with the area or has questions about how this might proceed, but I'm glad to hear that some of the other locations, which brought up a lot of controversy and contention from the public, at least my office was hearing from them, have been excluded from the choices that we're looking at. There is still a lot of illegal lava viewing going on, and I don't know in the long run how that's going to be handled, but it's still a problem in the area. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. O'Hara. Ms. Leloy.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Barrett and Diane. So yeah, right now it's all very fluid. So, let's just kind of keep pushing forward. So my comments really are, I like the idea of not one particular property carrying the ball. I like the idea that there might be off-site parking, at another location in which, another property would do an educational piece, and then, another property further down the road would kind of be, the turnstile to count people going in and out. I like that shared impact type of vision. I think for that particular area, just because of some of the unknowns and the risks associated there, I think keeping those kind of as cornerstones or guiding principles we hear all the time with our planning director, I think those are good first steps. And then, of course, I had to check under the zoning code. There's a provision. It's a permitted use as long as it's compliant with Section 25411 plan approval. So, who's getting plan approval? Is it plan approval for the Y, the hub, LaQuinn's?
It's Gilbert, so
Okay.
his property. That's the plan approval. The rest are zoned for. We could put a parking lot on there, right, for Lookins.
So with plan approval, if there's not enough parking for whatever square footage for the facility, would there be a variance for overflow parking being established somewhere else, or would the building be fixed in size because of the amount of parking that could be provided? Do we have an answer? Is that a question for our planning director?
That will be planning director there. But again, it's such a fluid and hypothetical number that we don't even know how much, because Ross has said from Hawaii Visitors Bureaus, they need 250 parking spaces. That's what we're going based upon. But reality is we don't really know at that point, right?
yeah, I would like to add that I don't believe anybody's done any formal assessment of visitor interest. We all know the Hawaii Volcanoes National Park opened last weekend. They had planned for large crowds, and they did not necessarily see that. So I know a number of you folks were at in gathering with the cruise ship industry today, and they indicated that was part of the reason they brought media from across the nation and international to this event, was to share Hawaii Island, to share the fact that even though we don't have a glow or we don't have fresh lava to see, or liquid lava, we have great lava vistas and great things to see and do, and the great people to visit with. So that was a really nice opportunity, and I was glad that many of you were able to visit with the media there. But that it's going to take some, if I may call it, re-education of people and their expectations, particularly if we don't have active lava erupting along the rift or at the caldera.
Yeah, and that's just my larger concern is managing expectations. And I understand the eagerness to get down there because it's new and inviting but I'm also at a place where do we really have to, why can't we keep some of those areas pristine, and it helps with the educational piece. So I do like the idea of through these shuttles, it's a captive audience, just like being in the airplane, you're told what you can and cannot do. I think all those pieces are really great pieces, but I think the most important thing is to manage the expectation, but the overarching goal I'd like to see is the management of that brand new resource. And maintaining somewhat of that pristine quality. So I thank you. I understand it's fluid. I've been part of a number of conversations. So
I guess the other important part too is about the parking area at Lukins. That no matter what, even if the lava flow didn't happen, that's a critical area that would revitalize Pahoa. So whether or not it should be an important piece that if the county doesn't take over, somebody else should, and should be free parking to for the community. And so whether it stops or not, I think it's a overall big picture, because we might be in the future looking at to restoring Akebono Theater again and using that possibly as a community center there. We do need a cultural center there. I totally believe in different cultural centers in different areas to, invigorate communities. So.
thank you, Ayo.
See you off.
Thank you. And I was following that vision too when you were speaking earlier, because today we spoke about trying to help the businesses in Pahoa in a different way by reducing some of their property taxes. But in a way, this vision will actually help too. It would help invigorate the businesses just by making it a beautiful, interesting and exciting place to come, and slowly everybody will revitalize, and it's sort of like a circular thing. The more there is to do, and the more businesses are flourishing, the more people may come, and so on. So I think we have a great opportunity here, and pulling all the resources together is really good. I'm thanking you for both of you for sharing with us today.
Oh, thank you.
Ms. O'Hara?
Just want to say thank you for all the information that you just provided. And Barrett, you're absolutely right about the parking issue. It has been the problem that my town has been suffering from since the January 2017 fire. And it has caused, we were having an economic downturn largely because there's nowhere to park and nobody can go to town and visit the restaurants and stores long before May 3rd. So that is a real key issue. And I would like to point out that a Punakai Shopping Center, John McElvaney there, has also offered help in terms, he's going to have a lot of parking places up that side of town as well. So connecting the sides of town will eventually be a really good benefit to all of the business owners as well. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any last things? Well, just mahalo Barrett, mahalo Diane for being here, updating us. Okay, all in favor of filing communication 1073, say aye.